TROLLS.
What up, y'all? You looking for some landscaping for your layout? Well, you better do like old Early and get you some of these fine long shadows trees from longshadows.com. You tell them old Early sent you. Here.
I just screen shared while whatever we're doing right now. This is a stacked photo, and that's about 8 inches back to the hopper back there, and it's all pretty much in focus.
That was the scenery you did the other day with the mosses, and then tweaked a little bit with some Woodland Scenics products.
Yeah. Of course, this is not every. It's just one type of plant, but it's really easy. There's the point I was trying to say. People are like, I don't have all the fancy products. Well, I bought this at my local big box store at Walmart. You can buy sheet moss. It's over by the there's all kinds of varieties. It's used to decorate the top of like plastic flowers, little planters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's really coarse, really too coarse for modeling, but it makes a good armature. If you mix with your other scenery items.
That at least works for O scale. That was O scale, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I found a filter fleece, a grease filter for the hood in the kitchen, and if you pull that stuff apart and paint it in a flat black, that makes nice bushes in HO scale.
Now see, I need to look at that, because here's the problem I got. I go down to look for that sort of thing, like furnace filter material, screen, and I found all this pre-packaged is in the stores. It's either paper or it's fiberglass, and I have not been able to find anything that's, it used to be you could go to the where they sold aquarium filters and you could buy the stuff, and I can't find that. It's all pre-packaged, it's pre-manufactured, it's paper or some kind of synthetic. It's like I keep looking.
Well, I got some of the stuff here pulled out of the package and pulled apart.
Well, I need to check. I need to check over next time I go to the range hoods and see if they got any on for sale, because
I was kind of curious myself on how that would separate, but don't know how well the camera is picking that up. But it's a very fine wool, and I can separate this even farther and have some very fine fibers.
Right, yeah.
I keep it like this to get this painted properly, but yeah, this was some experimental stuff, and once this is painted in black, I think that makes some nice underbushes and undergrowth.
And this
is just one small section.
And that is what? This material?
That's a grease filter for the steam hood in the kitchen.
Okay. Looks like a polyfill, but
yes, it's the same stuff.
I find that if you use a variety of things, it of all kinds of different textures and mix and on your layout, it's better.
Well, how are you doing today, Peter?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I'm not nearly as uncomfortable as I thought I was going to be.
Yeah.
From my surgery, and you know, so it's coming along. Here's what my foot looks like.
I wanted to do this show, and I particularly wanted to get you on the show because I've heard you on the Model Rail Radio a number of times, and I'm really interested in your modeling. And I no cut down to Model Rail Radio, but I haven't seen your modeling through that show. So
right, I need to post more. I need to post more photos. You know, I haven't been as good about that as I should be. I realize that that's something that I need to do, not only just for interest's sake, but also if I'm trying to market my abilities, I need to market my abilities.
yeah, there's only one way I got any work around, you know. My first jobs were when I was a total amateur modeler, way back in about 2008. I was an amateur. I was a hack, you know, but because I was sharing my photos online, people said, well, you got more hacks than I've got. So that's how I started, was sharing my photos online. So I encourage you to share your stuff. I am in no competition with you. We're geographically
no, right. I understand that. Not only that, you know, my wife Karen and I were talking about this whole idea earlier, and as I said, you know, the more that we get together as you know, as groups of competent modelers, you know, we give each other credibility in terms of you know, if we are associated with other good modelers, then that just increases our own standing in the community, I would think.
Yeah.
I don't see it as anything that represents you know, a negative at all.
Yeah.
How does
You
it
know,
know you're
of
known
course
by the company you keep?
yeah, right, exactly. As long as you guys don't start trash talking about me, you know.
Well, Peter, I give you fair warning. We started off with talking about dancing and costumes.
Okay.
So I have no idea what that meant. We suggested that anybody that's going to be dancing or doing costume was going to be him. And I suggest
I've heard an awful lot of good things about your layout, Ed, on Model Rail Radio lately, and seeing the pictures that Jim Lincoln took were very impressive. I mean, I knew that you did good stuff, but seeing it all as a, you know, as a piece rather than just an individual scene here and there, you know, gives me a much better sense of what it's like.
Well, thanks. It's really I tell people it's more of a operating diorama. Really, it's only 10 foot by 5 foot.
Yeah, that's really what my layout is going to be too. Mine is 2 feet deep by 20 feet long, 3 hollow core doors. You know, with foam and stuff on top of that.
Yeah. Well, you know, here's the deal. If you are into, they were talking the other night on, I guess, off-show chat, and they were talking about people that super detailed as opposed to somebody that likes operation.
Sure.
A smaller, you know, I told somebody, says, in fact, I told Tom one night, I says, I'm not really a model railroader. I'm a modeler that models railroads. I like the scenery. I like the scratch building, the research. It just happens that trains are neat. It gives you an opportunity to display your work. But, you know, I could probably do it. but the smaller area allows you to fiddle with stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm kind of in the middle so far as operation versus fine scale detail and stuff. I like both of them, and my own private layout is going to be mostly fine detail and stuff. But I'm fortunate that at the moment I have a commission with a guy that I'm building on a layout for him that is much more intended to be his main interest is running trains, and the scenery is more of just a backdrop from his point of view. So I'm getting to do both aspects at the same time in different places, sort of, at the moment. So
say my so-called I put it in quotes layout was originally it was 2 ON30 modules. I took them to the 2011 narrow gauge convention in Greenville, in where was that? Wherever it was, North Carolina.
Greensboro?
No, what? Where was? I can't remember now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point was that it wasn't designed for operation. Being a ON30 module, it was two 4-foot modules, with a little scene and the track running down the center. So it ended up on my wall, and I added a little a foot to the L shape, but there's not a whole bunch of operation in there, and it's because it's just in my bedroom. And it's not that I wouldn't like to have more room, but it kind of focused me on the detail side or the scenery side, just because of the limitations it started with.
Yeah, I personally, if I had, if I were in a situation where I could have anything I wanted, I would tend more toward a smaller layout that was well detailed than toward a massive, Tony Custer type thing.
Peter, out of all the people online, I've got one of my biggest, not my biggest issues, but one of the biggest pieces of feedback I get is after I start talking about a Craftsman kit, there's a big conversation about the cost of the hobby, the worth of the kit, and
yeah, I think you did a real good job of talking about that in the video that you did about Streeters and Clearbrook.
That was one of his better videos, by the way.
I am absolutely in the same camp with you. I think that sure, these kits cost a lot of money, but the amount of value that you get out of them in terms of the all the stuff that you learn from them, the end result that you get, and the amount of enjoyment that you get from building it over a prolonged period of time, I think they're worth every penny.
Years ago, I heard a good explanation for the cost of a hobby, and it was you divide the cost by the number of hours that you spend on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is your cost per hour. If you buy a $30 book and it turns out to be a lousy book, you read it for an hour, you never open it again, it costs you $30 an hour. If you buy a $50 book and you dog-ear that thing, you spend 100 hours reading through that book, that was what, 50 cents an hour?
Right, exactly. That's exactly the kind of
the
thought process.
the kit, if it's a $400 kit, but you spend 6 months, well, divide your time into it. Your hobby is how much per hour, not the overall cost. That's just my opinion, but it works for anything. It works for movies. You buy a movie and you watch the entire movie, and it costs you, $10 or whatever it is. Okay, it's That's a what, $7.50 an hour. But if you watch 30 minutes, you close it down because you don't want to watch the rest of it. It's cost you more.
Right.
Or you rewatch the darn thing. You buy it and you rewatched it. Every it's the Santa Claus, and you watch it every Christmas for your kids. Well, about the 5th time you've watched it, you're down to like a dollar an hour.
Yeah, by the end of it, that kit don't owe you the thing. Yeah, I agree completely, Ed. And just when Peter started thinking that, I think that same light bulb popped in my head, and I was about to talk about the per hour point that I heard somewhere way back too. I forget who said that.
It just totally makes sense because you're not buying the kit so much as you're buying the fun, you're interjecting into your pastime, into your hobby.
Yeah, well, that's why I call it a learning kit, because I basically spent $450 on streeters, or it could have been less. It could have been $395. Could have been $395. I don't have the box no more because I sold the box on eBay.
$55.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I've sold FSM boxes. Actually, that's the one thing that I've gotten from Scotty Mason that really works. Is you put that thing on eBay and people are going to buy it for the manual and those the template cards that are in there. Actually, let me pull one off the wall here. This is just the top one that's on the wall. This is Baxter's Building Supply. Fine Scale Miniatures kit from George Celios of the Eastern...
Peabody, Massachusetts.
Peabody, Mass. That's what it is.
Actually, Peabody.
Peabody.
We could have a whole discussion just about names and how they evolve. That's pretty good stuff.
So the thing about this kit, let's start off with the price because that's what's most important to people. This kit, when it was released, it was $260. $260. The instructions come on great big pieces of paper that you can put on your desk and go through them and spend a lot of time planning this stuff out. You look at the template cards. They're really well done. There's nothing, it's not like a plastic model where you get an exploded diagram of where these parts go. It's what, where, how, and how long to tickle it. This tells you everything. This is like perfect, like this is like your older brother taking you out for your first date, like this is. You're paying for the perfect your perfect first time modeling experience here. And my first Craftsman kit was built way back in 2008 when I couldn't build models. My first Craftsman kit, and it was a low cost Craftsman kit because there are Craftsman kits that cost $500, and then there's Craftsman kits that cost $50.
Right.
An example of my first Craftsman kit would be Full Steam Ahead by Joe Rutter. I have those kits up there, and I'd have to get through them and stuff like that to show them, but I had the Barrel Factory and another kit from him, and they are multimedia kits. They come with a paper of weathering and painting and different details, how to paint metal, how to glue metal to wood, which is a big problem for a lot of people. All kinds of tips and tricks that hold your hand through the building of a kit. A Craftsman kit is not the end product. A Craftsman kit is how it gets you to the end product.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. As I sent a message to you earlier, I have, I guess now, 6 or 7 of Bob Van Gelder's South River Model Works kits, and all but one of them are in partial construction stage. The Ware knitters I got almost is basically done. I mean, there's a few little details yet, but most of the other kits are, you know, partly built. They're built enough that they can be on my layout holding places, and you know, so that I can begin to get a sense of how all of this is going to fit together. But I'm so impressed with Bob's stuff that I actually had him send me a big image file of the South River Model Works logo, because I'm going to have that printed up on a, you know, poster size to hang up above my layout as a tribute to him and the work that he has put into all of this.
So if your only barrier into getting into Craftsman kits is the price, please look past the price, because as Ed said, your cost per hour could be in the pennies. You know, it could be under $1 an hour of your time that
Sure.
it cost you. And one point. Another point is if you spent a lot of money and you don't want to screw a kid up, but if your instructions don't quite work with your, you know, patience is a skill that we have to practice and learn. And if your patience wasn't at the point that you needed it to be and you screwed that thing up, man, call these gentlemen, be human, be very nice to them and respectful, because they deserve it. And you're going to get a very happy result from this that, you know, the first time it happens, you're going to be blown away.